A week tonight, as you all know, is Shavuot. And Shavuot is often compared to a marriage. We know that God is the Chassan and the Jewish people are the Kala, and Mount Sinai is the Chuppah, and the Torah is the Ketubah. So there's many comparisons that we can make between Shavuot and a marriage. Another one is that Shavuot doesn't only mean weeks. We're counting 7 between Pesach and Shavuot. It also means oaths. And there were a couple of oaths made on Shavuot. First, we promised Hashem that we would follow the Torah. And second, He promised us that we would endure. That there would always be a Jewish people. So, in terms of marriage, this dual oath is pretty important, because that's what we do when we stand under the chuppah. We make oaths and we make promises and we receive promises. So that's another reason. So I decided that what I would do today is talk about 10 commandments of a great marriage. Actually, I only have 9. You have to supply the 10th, but I'll tell you about that later. And the first thing I need to tell you is something that will not surprise you. Men and women are different. Men are goal-oriented, and women love the process. Men need the bottom line, and we like the journey getting to the bottom line. And this is really a very basic difference. And to understand the relationship between male and female, it's important that we establish what that difference is. So if you have a noise in your washing machine, or if you have a flat tire, or if something is broken, a man will fix it. That's what he does best, is fix something that's broken. Women do things to improve them, not to fix them. So for example, my living room wall does not need to be a different color than it is. The couch I want to recover does not need to be another cover. But it would be better if it were different. My wall would be better. I don't really need new shoes for Shavuot, but my feet will be happier if I had new shoes on them. I alter things to make them better, which is probably why we are always trying to fix our men. Not because they're not fine the way they are. They are wonderful the way they are, but we know that we can improve them, we can make them better. Don't laugh. Statistically, I'm correct. Married men are healthier and happier than single men or divorced men. Let me tell you a statistic. Divorced men have 34% more heart attacks, God forbid, 41% more strokes, 44% more cancer, and 47% more kidney and stroke disease.
Because of the payouts.
Maybe. There's all kinds of reasons why. And I know what you're thinking. Is the same true about divorced women? Absolutely not. Divorced women don't suffer any of these consequences because they get from other women what men received from their wives and no longer receive. That's another story. I don't want to talk about divorce anyway. I want to talk about marriage and Judaism. Judaism always gives us another chance. Every morning we wake up, we say Modeh Ani, we have a brand new day. Every week we have Shabbos, that island of tranquility in a sea of chaos. Every month we have Rosh Chodesh. Every year we have Rosh Hashanah. Over and over, we're forgiven again, we're given a second chance again, a new beginning, a new start. So my first commandment of a great marriage is that we have to give our husbands second chances, new beginnings, new starts, over and over and over again. So I've taken the word new start as an acronym, and I've used every letter to help us remember, help me remember, help you recall the different things we can do in order to embellish what is already a fine relationship. So why do our husbands need second chances? Why do they need this new start, our first rule? There's 2 major reasons. The first one is because we speak a different language than they do. We use the same alphabet. An uneducated ear would believe that we even use the same words, but the meaning so often is completely different. Let me give you a concrete example. John and Miriam are on a road trip. They've been driving about 2 hours. Miriam says to John, "Hungry?" John says, "No, honey," and keeps driving. About 25 minutes later, Miriam says, "Feel like a coffee?" "No, thanks." About 25 minutes later, John realizes that Miriam hasn't said a word in 25 minutes. So sheepishly, he turns to his wife and says, "Anything wrong, honey?" She replies, "No. Why should anything be wrong? I'm starving to death, and you won't even stop for a cup of coffee." Poor John. He didn't realize that "Are you hungry?" meant let's stop. Let's communicate. Let's go for a walk. Let's meander through a little town. Let's see if there's an antique shop. Let's connect. After all, we're on holiday. Feel like a coffee? Meant, okay, Johnny, this is your last chance. Do you know what I do for you in a single day? I have your children. I make them lunch. I make you dinner. I don't have to tell you the list of things that we do in a day for Johnny. The least you can do is stop for a cup of coffee. Johnny, poor Johnny, I feel a little sorry for him. He thought feel like a coffee meant feel like a coffee. Different language. We speak different languages. So really, we have to find some way to communicate what we're feeling at the time we're feeling it. The second reason why men deserve a new start, a second chance. Details. Now, we love details. Women love details. The best analogy I can think of is what happens at a self-serve gas station. Has everyone here done self-serve? Everyone knows the experience. You put in the pump into the car. What happens when it's full? It clicks and it turns off. And if you push it again, what happens? It clicks again. And then it overflows. You've never done it 3 times. It overflows and the gas, everyone's done it, and the gas comes out of the car. Okay. In my experience, all men have a limited capacity for detail. Now, you know this is true. You start telling your husbands a story, and you know how it glazes over. I know, it does. It just glazes over. I rank it at about, my husband, 25 to 30 seconds. Really, and he's great. On a good day, 25 to 30 seconds, and I see the glaze. Now, ladies, we have to be able to identify the glaze and understand it's not their fault. The tank is full. They can't have any more detail. They can't. I was once doing a workshop for couples, and I was going over what I was about to say to my husband. And I said to him, so I'm going to turn to the husbands now and say, you know how when your wife starts to tell a story and you think, oh, she's rambling, and you click off? So he kind of laughed and went, how do you know that? I said, honey, I know that. So he said, so why do I still get all the details? I said, because we love detail. We love detail. So I'm telling you, you can tell your mothers, your daughters, your sisters, your friends, your cousins, any other woman in the world loves the detail. But really, they can't do it. They click off. You'll see it. Now that you're aware of it, you won't believe it. And you think 25 seconds was short, you wait. 10, 12 seconds is average. So wait and see what happens. But we have to, okay, so that's why they deserve second chances. They don't speak the same language. They can't handle the details. That's the end of New Start. E stands for empathy. Empathy is when you feel what your partner is feeling. The best example I can tell you is Rabbi Aryeh Levine, who went to the doctor with his wife because her leg hurt. And he said, doctor, please help us. Our leg is sore. So that's the kind of husbands and wives we're supposed to be. The kind that really we hurt when he or she hurts. We understand what that pain means. Let me tell you a story about a shidduch. This is an old story about a rabbi who made a shidduch with his daughter, who was very beautiful, with a young man from a neighboring town. Very learned, stellar reputation. He had looked a long time for the perfect shidduch for his beautiful, beautiful daughter. Anyway, the day came that the young man was coming into town. She's looking out the window, and she sees the young man getting out of the carriage and walking into the base medrash. She gasps when she sees him. She runs to her father and she says, "Tati, I can't marry him." And her father says, "Honey, what do you mean? You haven't met yet. He just came into town." She said, "I know. I saw him. I can't marry him." The father says, "Please, tell me what's wrong." She said, "Tati, you're going to think this is very superficial, but I saw him walk into the shul, and he has a very bad limp. He limps very badly, Tati. And I'm very beautiful, and my whole life, people have looked at me when I've walked into a room. And Tati, I can't marry him. Everyone will look at him and not me. And I'm sorry, I can't do it." And she started to cry. He said, "Don't cry, don't cry." I'll tell him, "Don't cry, stop crying." And he was mortified. Can you imagine? This very learned, fine rabbi, such a reason. Anyway, he doesn't know what to do. He walks across the street to the hotel where the young man is staying. He knocks on his door. He says, "I'm so sorry. I don't know how to tell you this, but the shidduch is off." So the young boy says, "Can I just ask one question?" He said, "Of course." He says, "Did she see me?" The rabbi doesn't know what to say, but he says, "Yes, she saw you walk into the shul." So the young man says, "Rabbi, I only ask one thing. Let me see her for 5 minutes. If I can see her for 5 minutes, and then she doesn't want the shidduch, I promise you, I'll go back to my father. I'll just tell him it didn't work out. No one will know why. Both our reputations will be intact." The father said, "You are such a mensch. Thank you so much." He goes back to his daughter. He says, "You're going to this boy. I don't want to hear anything. 5 minutes, just go to his room." So she crosses the street. She goes in and she says, "I'm sorry." He says, "Just sit down for a minute. There's something I want to tell you. You know, we're taught that when we're born, our neshama is split in two. Half of it goes into the boy, half of it goes into a girl. In Shemayim, when our neshama was separated, you were supposed to have the limp. But I said, you know what? It's so hard for a girl to go around with a disability like that. Let me have the limp." Anyway, she looks behind him. There's a mirror behind him on the wall. And she looks behind him and she sees herself in the same clothes she has on that day, but not so beautiful. She's bent over. She's walking down Main Street limping. She's limping down the street and she can't believe it. He's right. This is what she would have looked like that day. The same clothes, but they look so different on her. There's no arrogance about her. There's no shine in her hair, in her step, in her... She gasps again, this time for real. She looks at herself and she starts to weep. And she says to him, "You're right. You're right. I can't believe it. You took the limp. If you'll have me, it would be my pleasure to be your wife. Please give me a chance to show you what a good woman I can be." Anyway, they got married and they had a wonderful marriage. Now, I told this story years ago to my father, Ahava Spillman, and he said, "You think this is just another one of your Hasidic tales? I know this story. This is a true story." And he had a name, he knew the girl, he knew the boy, they came over from Europe, he had the whole story. The whole story. It was really extraordinary. So you think it was made up, but this is a true story. So if we really believe that we're married to our basher, certainly we can go a long way with that alone. W. N-E-W. W is weathering the storm. I was hoping it would be raining tonight because it's so appropriate. So the sun isn't always shining. Life isn't always easy. There are times when things are rougher than other times. We know that. But we need to find ourselves tools with which to, we need to find umbrellas so we can make it through the storms, just a little bit. Or maybe just the fact that we learn so much more when things are stormy than when they are bright. Maybe that can help us along the way as well. Pirkei Avot teaches us that we need a good eye, a good friend, and a good neighbor. Those three things can certainly be related to our primary relationships. First of all, a good eye. Female intuition, there's nothing like it in the whole world. You know when something's amiss. You know when something's a little off in your kids, in your husband. You can just feel it. You just sense it. That's when you have to start to do something about it. What's wrong? What can we do? Something's upsetting you. You know, it's our role. Talk to me. What's going on? We know what a good eye means. A good friend. Think of how you behave toward your friend. Toward a good friend. You would do anything for your best friends. Anything. Financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You forgive anything immediately because she's such a good friend. Sometimes that's how we have to treat our husbands. We have to give them some slack because they're such good friends. And a good neighbor, what does that mean? Well, the day before yesterday, I love my neighbor. We're quite good friends. But the day before yesterday, I was walking out of the house. I was in such a hurry. I had so many things to do. And there she was, walking out of her house. And you know what I did? I walked back into my house. I closed the door. I just had to wait 1 minute till she got into the car and drove away because I had no time to talk to her. So I'm reviewing my notes this morning and I'm thinking, you know, I would give her space if she needed it. She would give me space. Neighbors. If I had gone out and said to her, oh, Tina, it's so nice to see you. I'm in such a hurry. I just can't talk now. She'd say, see you next time. She wouldn't be offended. She's my neighbor, right? She's not my mother. It's okay. So I thought to myself, being a good neighbor is giving space to someone. You've heard men are from, women are from Venus, men are from Mars. You've heard that John Gray book? Everyone? Not everyone? Okay, anyway, his basic premise, it must be 10 years old now. His basic premise is really we're from different planets. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. The fact that we attempt to cohabit is huge. Why are we trying to live together? We're from different planets. But one of the major rules on Mars, that's where men are from, is that when you're upset, you go into a cave and you stay there for 3 or 4 days. That's what you do. It's a rule. Upset, cave. Hello? Upset, cave. And if you need a week, that's fine. Take a week in the cave. It's a law. It's a law on Mars. Venus, where women live, if you're upset, you call up a friend, you talk about it, you discuss it, you sit down, you have a group of people come over because you're upset, and you want to discuss what the problem is all about. Now, you've got women and men. How do you weather this storm? One's in a cave, and one's having a party. So clearly, we have to find some kind of common ground where we can understand that there is something that's acceptable to both of us. Maybe a cave for an hour instead of a week, maybe to talk for an hour instead of a party, but there should be something in between that we can do. So that's weathering the storm. What's next? Oh, I think I should tell you another story. This is a great tzaddik. Oh, I'll wait. Okay, N-E-W-S. S stands for smile. You have no idea how powerful a smile is. It takes so little effort and creates such goodwill. A couple of weeks ago, I was reading a manual on CEOs. Oh, I forgot about the picture. Now I'm nervous again. Hi. A couple of weeks ago, I was reading a manual for CEOs. A manual for CEOs. And it was talking about how important a smile is. It instills confidence. It means you're well balanced. It means you're trustworthy. A smile. It said years ago, everyone thought it was a handshake. They'd actually have seminars about handshakes. You make eye contact, you lean forward, you put out your hand, you shake. It has to be a strong handshake to show that you're a strong person. It has to be decisive to show you're decisive. It has to be, that's all been replaced by a smile. Great for Shomer Nagia. How do you do? Really, it works very well. But a smile. Now, if this is so effective in the workforce, imagine the power it has in your own home. Wonderful power. And don't you think that your husband deserves a smile? Not just when he comes in at the end of a hard day, but when you see him in the kitchen or the living room, maybe across the mechitza. You're allowed to smile at each other. It means that you like each other. It means you're happy to see him at any time of day. Whatever happens, a smile. So very important. T. T stands for Torah. So Torah, of course, is a great part in our lives. We learn so much about it. Bereshit says that your closest relation is your spouse. No one can be closer than your spouse. Bless you. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says that a marriage must have vitality in order to exist, and in order to exist well. And vitality means it must keep on growing. It can never stay stagnant. It must also have trust. Trust doesn't just happen overnight. Trust has to be earned. And how is trust earned? The Rebbe says it's earned because your behavior is accountable. Accountability, he says, is one of the major things. What does accountability mean? It means that you trust that your behavior will be exactly the same as otherwise if no one is watching except God. That you know that your behavior is the same as it is if you have a friend in the room or if no one's in the room. I once heard a discussion about child rearing, and the example that this woman gave was, say you're in your kitchen and your 3-year-old walks up to the fridge, opens the fridge, takes out a dozen eggs, and the eggs fall. You know, cleaning up eggs is not so much fun. You're not so happy. Honey, this is on a good day. What did you do? Okay, same scenario. The next day, your good friend just dropped in. She's sitting on a kitchen chair. Your 3-year-old comes in, opens up the fridge, and the eggs fall on the ground. You say, honey, what a mess. Let's clean up the eggs together. So this woman said, God is always sitting on your kitchen chair, okay? From now on, when you walk into the kitchen and no one's around, don't be silly. There's someone around watching. So you act your best if no one's around or if your friend's on the kitchen chair. That just came to mind. Okay, there was a great tzaddik who saved many marriages. Let me tell you what he did. He'd hear all the complaints from the man and then all of the complaints from the woman. He'd say to the man, okay, I understand. Life is very difficult now. Here's what I want you to do. After davening every day, stay in shul. For 10 minutes, you have to say bruchas for your wife. 10 full minutes. I know, it sounds like a very long time at the moment, but for 10 minutes, every day for a month, you bless your wife. You bless that she'll have a wonderful day, that the children will behave perfectly, that she'll enjoy every minute, that she'll get to do what she wants. She'll even have time to sit down and have a cup of tea with her friend. That, whatever it is, 10 full minutes, you cannot stop with blessings. Then he'd hear all the complaints from the wife, and he'd say, I know it's a very difficult time, but after you finish your davening at home, I want you to stand under a mezuzah, and I want you to bless your husband for 10 minutes. I know, it may sound like a very long time, but you have to give him all the brachas you can think of, that he should be good at work, that he should find parnasa, that he should come home in a good mood, that he should love what he's doing all day long, whatever it is. Anyway, it was miraculous. You know, that 10 minutes was so long the first day, the second day, the third day. The fourth day it wasn't so bad. By the fourth week, blessings just flow out of your mouth. It's so easy. You've been blessing him for such a long time, you can continue to do the same thing. So he said, that was it. That's my only secret. Keep on giving blessings. So I told this story not long ago, and our Rebbitzin and the crowd said, I have another story for you. And here was her story. She said, a man is miserable. He can't stand his marriage. He can't stand his wife. He goes to his rabbi. He says, Rabbi, I want a divorce. Rabbi says, a divorce? Why? I can't stand anything about her. I hate the way she dresses. I hate the way she walks. I hate the way she talks. I hate the way she looks. I hate the way she cooks. I hate the way... He went on and on and on and on. The rabbi said, tell me, have you told her any of this yet? No, we don't even talk. Why should I tell her? I don't tell her anything. The rabbi said, you really hate her? Really, Rabbi? I don't like this person at all. The rabbi said, I have a really good idea. You want to hurt her a little bit? Sure, he said. I will. Okay. The rabbi said, I have a plan. For 2 months, I want you to go home and be as nice to her as you can be. As nice as you can be. Anything that goes on, just be wonderful. Then, in 2 months, when you tell her you want a divorce, she'll say, Oi, Gavalt, a divorce, but you've been so nice. That'll show her. Oh, sardonically the man replied. That sounds like a wonderful plan. So he goes home. He walks into his house and he says, well, let's go out for dinner. She says, dinner? Go out for dinner? He says, yeah, you know what? We haven't been out for dinner. I can't even remember the last time. Go get changed. I'll take you out for dinner. She says, oh, okay. All right. She goes upstairs. She changes. She comes out. Her husband says, you look beautiful. Oh, she says, thank you very much. You look pretty handsome yourself. Anyway, 2 months pass. The rabbi didn't hear from him. 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. About 6 months later, he sees him in the street and he says, Yaakov, how are you? Yaakov says, Baruch Hashem, Rabbi, I'm fine. How are you? Fine, fine, Baruch Hashem, the rabbi says. How are your kids? Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. How's your wife? Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. You're happy? Things are going well? Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. You're not thinking about a get, about a divorce? Chatz v'chalila. Why would I ever think about a get? I have the most wonderful, most caring, most incredible woman in the whole world. Why do you think I would ever think of a divorce? I don't know, the rabbi said. What's wrong with me? See you later. So sometimes you just, what's the word? What's the expression? Fake it and you'll make it? Sometimes it just works. It can just work that way. Okay, Torah. There's so many aspects of Torah. They say that when there's a husband and wife live harmoniously, there's Shechina. There's Shechina. There's Shechina. There's Shechina in the home. There's a story told about him rushing home after shul. I know, it's hard to believe the story all the time. He's rushing home after shul and somebody stops and says, where are you rushing? It's Shabbos. Where are you going so fast? He says, I'm going home. My wife is waiting for me. So the man says, slow down. There's no need to rush. He said, no, my wife is waiting for me. There's a reason to rush. If I go home quickly, she'll be so happy to see me. That's reason enough. You can repeat that one when you get home, okay? About 20 years ago, I was at a party. I used to teach at Seneca College, and I was at a party, end of year party. Everyone brought their spouses, and I was talking to this woman who was a sexologist. Her area of expertise, she was a sexologist. Anyway, I was telling her a little bit about Taharas Mishpacha, about the laws of family purity, just to see what she thought from a secular point of view. And she was astounded. Her eyes got bigger, her jaw dropped open. She actually said to me, and I quote, that's brilliant. Who wrote that book? No word of a lie. I said, it's a very special book for very special people. She said, you know, I could use part of that in therapy. I said, go ahead. Do whatever you want. So we have a very special book for very special people. Okay, A, there's actually 2 parts of A. A is always be on each other's side, always be on his side. Now, I know sometimes husbands do and say things that are hysterical. You could tell stories, you could laugh. Okay, they shouldn't be the butt of any joke. You just forget it. Don't pass it on. That's number 1. Or even if you're talking 3, you know how sometimes you just roll your eyes? No rolling eyes. From now on, never another eye roll. Finished. Okay, that's the first A. A, number B, is never argue in public. Never argue in public. What's public? Well, the mall. The car is very public. The front yard. The backyard. In the house, if there's children around, or a nanny, or a mother-in-law, or a mother or father-in-law, or a cousin, or an electrician, or a handyman, nobody's business. I don't expect you to agree on everything. How boring would life be if we agreed on everything? But really, it's nobody's business. That's the truth. And you have to know how to fight fairly. This is, courses are given on how to fight fairly. I'll tell you 3 rules. 1, don't yell. Never yell. Never yell. Yelling means you're out of control. It means you don't respect the other person. And it means it's okay if your kids yell at you, and it's not okay. So don't yell. That's number 1. Number 2, stick to the issue at hand. The issue at hand. Now, this is very important. I know it's almost impossible, especially for us, because I know that the fact that your husband was 15 minutes late tonight getting home so you could come here is directly related to the fact that he forgot your birthday 3.5 years ago. I know that's true. But I know it because I'm a woman. He has no clue what's going on. And our memories, really, Kinahora, we remember every mean, evil thought that he had. I understand. You have to stick to just the issue. It's very difficult. The third one is no always and nevers. You always do that. You never defend me in front of your mother. You're always late when we have to go somewhere. You never... Okay, those are 3. There's more. You can just Google fighting fairly. There's probably 12 million sites on how to fight fairly, but it's important. Okay, that's A. N-E-W-S-T-A.
Sorry.
It's okay. R. I don't know what R is. Oh yes, R is great. R. Remember the feelings. Remember the feelings when you got married. It's not so long ago, but remember the phone rang? How excited were you when the phone rang? When's the last time the phone rang, it was your husband, and you said, "Hi." That's what you said before you got married. Remember that? Oh, I can't believe it. That's how you should feel right now. You've been through more together than then. You're smarter now than you were then. You have a better relationship than you were then. You have history now that you didn't have then. You should be more excited about phone calls now than you were then. So just remember everything. Remember everything that you love so much. Okay, the last T is time. We have to make time for each other. You have to put aside a block of time for just the 2 of you. It's got to be, I don't know what activity you like. You can go for a walk. You can watch the sunset. You can salsa dance. I don't care what you do together, but it has to be just the 2 of you. You can learn Torah. You can go to a class. You can go out every Rosh Chodesh for dinner. Or make him make dinner every Rosh Chodesh. That's a better idea. Or you can alternate. He decides what Rosh Chodesh what you're going to do. You decide the next Rosh Chodesh. Something at least at once a week. But for sure once a month. Without question, you need to find time. When you first got to know each other, you had time. Your lives weren't nearly as complex as they are now. You weren't doing nearly as many things. You must make time for each other. And bedtime, something else. Very important. I don't know where your children are in life, but when it's bedtime, they should be in bed, in their own beds. And there should be a time, even a 3-year-old understands, Daddy's waiting to talk to me. That's a special thing. You're allowed to say that. And time, speaking of phone calls, you should always take each other's calls, no matter what. Now, if your husband's a brain surgeon, it may be difficult. He can't say, hold on, I'll be right back. But besides that, people, I don't know how many of you work, but if you're at work, Everyone at work should know when your husband calls, it's an important call. Everyone at his work should know when you call, it's an important call. You're giving each other an important stature in each other's lives, and it deserves it. So take the call. That's another T. I hear music. Should I dance?
The husband take it.
The husband take it. Let's hear. Hello. Okay, so that's time. So that's New Start. Now I have one more, which is number 10. But you have to tell me number 9. So I'm going to divide you quickly into groups. Let me hear from the group on the bench. What's your 10? What's your suggestion?
We need more time.
Oh, come on. Tell me something. Oh, you need more time in the day? Oh, very nice. Okay. Any others?
Honestly, we need more time.
Honestly, more time would be wonderful. But like your life, we have no more time.
Ask another group.
Another group. Okay. Who has a suggestion? Come on. There's no wrong answer.
We're going to say compromise.
Compromise. Important.
Or mutual understanding.
Respect.
Humorous.
Very good.
Humorous.
Humorous? Nice.
Bite your tongue. You don't
Bite
have
your
to say
tongue.
everything.
Oh, good one. You don't have to say everything. My mother, Kenohora, is 91. Very bright, very lucid, walks every day, plays golf, does chesed. She says everything she wants. Everything she wants. When she was 75, she called me on her birthday. She said, I've been thinking about this. I hope she doesn't see this. I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this. She said, I'm going to say what I feel now. I'm 75 years old. I get to say what I really think now. I said, Ma, as long as I've known you, you've always said what you think. I'm afraid to even imagine what's going to happen now. She'll say something to someone and I'll say, Ma, tell her what you really think. Okay, so you don't always have to. You can bite your tongue until you're 75, then the world, whatever you want. Okay, good. Any others? Others? I had one here that was great.
Appreciation.
Appreciation.
Not taking things for granted.
Okay, not taking things for granted. So my 10th one was 3 thank yous and a sorry. I heard this very many years ago, and my husband and I did it for a very long time. Now that I'm talking to you about it, we'll do it again. I'll go home and say, you know what we should do tonight? 3 thank yous and a sorry before you check in for the night. 3 thank yous. Thank you for little things, it doesn't matter. Taking out the garbage, changing the diaper, bathing the baby, taking the cup from the table to the sink. Whatever it is, positive reinforcement is very important. 3 thank yous and 1 sorry.
Did you say that one?
You both say it. 3 thank yous and a sorry from each of you. And the sorry cannot be, I'm sorry you didn't bring me flowers today. That's cheating. You can't say I'm sorry you didn't bring me flowers. Okay. It has to be a real sorry. Now what happens when you do this for a couple of days? What happens when you start to do this is that you become aware of what your husband did that was nice, because you need 3 thank yous. You don't want to sound ridiculous. Thank you for breathing. You know, you want it to be something that's worthwhile. So you start to look for things that he's doing. 3 thank yous and a sorry. I didn't ask you about. Do you have a suggestion? What? Don't go to bed angry. It's a good one. And
well, we probably missed the first part of the communication. He doesn't know what you want, you have to tell him.
that's true. It's true. He doesn't know what you want. You have to tell him. Was this suggestion? So this is the different languages that I was talking about. We don't speak the same language. Sometimes my husband will say to me, okay, I don't know what I did wrong, but can we just get over it so we can... I'm sorry, okay? Really, I'm sorry. I just start to laugh because, you know, it's comical. So I have 3 thank yous. I don't have a sorry. But thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. And I'm sure you'll have wonderful marriages, each and every one of you. Good night.